But yeah, so we were lucky enough. This is the third program that we've run. The Open Web Foundry lasted 6 weeks, and we were lucky enough to receive to have 400 plus people register to participate, and over 20 teams actually registering their projects. And what you're about to see are top 10 teams that we were lucky enough to work with. And the first of these is Donald with VIA. So Donald, if you're there, why don't you take us through VIA?
Hey guys, can you see and hear me okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. Grab my screen here. Okay. Hey everyone, thanks for coming out today. My name is Donald, and I'm here to talk to you about VIA, a project I've been working on for the last few months. So last week I was working on this deck, I think it was Wednesday, and interestingly enough, a notification from the Arweave dev Discord popped up. The user was curious whether you could use Arweave more like a traditional Web 2 database. And that's just it, right? Currently, you can't. There's no ecosystem standard for accomplishing this right now. And I can relate. Like everyone else, when I first discovered Arweave, I was really intrigued by the premise of permanent decentralized storage. A lot of us coming into Web 3 are used to relying on solutions like MongoDB or similar. But when it comes to Arweave, there's no real equivalent. Rather than reaching for something recognizable, developers new to the ecosystem are forced to use two relatively unfamiliar tools instead. The first is the Arweave.js library for writing data to Arweave, and the second is GraphQL for reading data from Arweave. Both tools are great for what they are, but they're low-level, domain-specific, and decoupled from each other. For those starting out, building dApps on Arweave ends up feeling pretty convoluted as a result. Developers are forced to jump between two abstractions, diverting them from the real task at hand, developing their product. Depending on the complexity of their needs, they may also find themselves spending a bunch of time trying to reinvent the wheel around data schematization. VIA, on the other hand, provides a unified interface for all of this. So rather than running around between Arweave.js and GraphQL, developers are able to interact with a single library instead. This obviously streamlines things. It also starts to give way to a mental shift where the experience starts to feel familiar, a lot more like using a traditional database. So I'll also touch here on a couple of the more technical conveniences VIA brings to the table. VIA is by design an object mapper, allowing for seamless translation or mapping between objects in your code and documents on Arweave. Again, this brings a level of familiarity to the development experience. The semantics are also made dead simple, and so the API ends up feeling a lot more intuitive and expressive in general. VIA ships with a number of optimizations baked in as well. For instance, when making modifications to a document, VIA will only write what's changed instead of rewriting the entire document. This is obviously a no-brainer that saves developers on both data costs and response times. Same thing goes for compression. Less cost up front with less data to push around. So you may be wondering at this point how VIA actually works. To start, there's a configuration step. This covers the basics and resembles other database configurations. VIA needs to know what you'd like your collections to be called, for instance. After that, we're ready to operate. VIA exposes a basic CRUD-like interface. It goes without saying, the point of Arweave is not to destroy your content, so VIA approaches the traditional destroy operation as a hide instead. I'll do a little walkthrough now, and I'll show you how you would use VIA to create a permanent decentralized document. So let's first imagine that you would like to build an application, and that application is centered around storing collections of books. Books, of course, can be logically schematized into things like fiction and nonfiction. To get started, we'll connect to a store using our store ID. Upon connecting, VIA will return one or more collections. In this case, we have a fiction collection. From there, we'll start a new document. And once we have a document, we can start to think about making property assignments. So in this case, we'll add a title, an author, and a year. You'll notice that this just works. There's no difference here between making assignments to a document and making assignments to regular JavaScript objects. Before uploading, maybe our user is interested in the price of saving the document. VIA makes that really easy too. At some point, we'll go ahead and actually save the document. This is done by providing a private key and calling the save method. As a side note here, if the developer knows ahead of time that their user will be using a browser extension like ArConnect, then we can actually exclude the private key altogether, which is really exciting from the perspective of achieving Web 2 parity. Next, once the upload is complete, the save method will return a transaction object, which we can interact with as well. And that's actually it. As you can tell, there's no mixing levels of abstraction. If you're familiar with the current tooling, you'll notice just how dramatically VIA simplifies things. With VIA, we don't need to know much at all about Arweave internals in order to take advantage of what Arweave offers. VIA will be a profit-sharing community with a circulating supply of VIA profit-sharing tokens. Like other PSCs, mechanisms will be in place to reward community members in the form of micro-dividends or tips. There were something like 200,000 transactions on the Arweave network in the last week alone, the vast majority of which flowed through the current tooling described earlier. VIA aims to capture a convincing proportion of this market. Still working out the numbers, so please take this with a big grain of salt, but VIA could easily charge something like 1 cent for every document uploaded. In terms of broader timeline, development began last December. The library is still in pre-alpha, but there will be something to play around with this month or next. Once a public release is available, I will be concentrating my attention on the next milestone of piloting the product within the community. From there are plans to develop a web client, allowing store owners to view or peek inside their database collections, creating a more integrated experience for VIA users. That's it for now. I'm HBauer on Discord. If you're interested in being one of VIA's first users, there's already a growing beta list. Feel free to reach out about that or about the project in general. VIA also has its own Discord server. That's where I'll be making announcements first in regards to release schedule and about community movements in general. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much for the presentation, Donald. I can see from the chat that people are incredibly excited to try this out. So I think we will all be looking forward to the end of April, May to really start playing around with it. So thanks a lot for that. Alrighty, next up we have Kevin. Kevin is gonna present his way of fixing the music industry, and I think that's gonna be a very interesting presentation. So why don't you take it away, Kevin?
Hello everyone. I'm going to present to Pianity. So with my co-founder, we think that the music industry is broken. Actually, Simon, my co-founder, has been working in the music industry for years. And what he found out was on the musician side, actually, they don't make money from track sales anymore. So they rely on, like Spotify and other platforms or on their concert in order to make money. Also, they are often locked by complex contracts with records and labels. And as well, they have problem with royalty distribution because it takes time. Sometimes it takes months for them to receive the money. And also, when you have multiple parties involved, it's a mess to manage. On the fan side, the fact is you can't really own a track. It's not like a painting. Like you can own. It used to be the case a bit with vinyl records, but it's not anymore with digital music. You can't even show your support to musicians properly. Like if you want to support a painter, you just buy one of his paintings. How do you do when you want to support a musician today? And actually, if you're not paying a subscription on platforms such as Spotify, you have a terrible experience because you get a lot of ads and yeah, it's not really nice to be like a free user on this platform. So we took like this NFT hype as an opportunity because we think it can completely change the business model around the music industry. So right now on streaming platform, basically everyone pays a monthly subscription, which is quite small and the same. So Spotify, for example, doesn't really capture all the money like from like its demand curve. Some people would probably like to spend more money on their favorite artists. Then came the NFT, and on platforms such as SuperRare, you can actually buy, like single editions of NFTs, which are usually very expensive. So they capture the value from the wealthy, from the wealthiest people on the demand curve, and other people maybe find themselves excluded from this platform because they can't really like put hundreds or thousands of dollars into an NFT. And Pianity, we decided to take another approach, which is series of NFT. So the idea is for every track, we can release different editions of the same track, and therefore capture like a lot more value from the demand curve. So if you are wealthy, then you will still buy the unique edition. But if you want to spend a little less money and show your support to the artists, then you can just buy a numbered edition. You know, even if it exists like 1,000 of them, you still own like a unique piece of that track, and you can still show your support to the artist and maybe resell it later for a profit. And we think, because fans are fanatics, it's probably the best way of doing it. You know, we are pretty sure that fans are gonna love, you know, owning a unique piece of their favorite artists. So we started at the beginning of the Foundry, so 6 weeks ago, and we released a fully functional marketplace from scratch. I'm gonna show you that. So that's our landing page, and let's go straight away to the most interesting part, which is the gallery. So here you can see that we released already 7 different NFTs. All of them are exclusive, and you can go to one NFT. So one NFT on Pianity is composed of 2 things. First, of the cover, and also of the track. You can of course listen to it. You can mute it, and then you can bid on it. We accept credit card, we accept cryptos. You can top up your wallet with different cryptos, and you can of course go see what it is on the blockchain. So here we see that it's actually a big track. It's like a 74-minute track, 800 megabytes. So it costs us like a little bit of money, but I think it's quite cheap for the amount of data. And of course, you can check that it's actually an atomic NFT. You can go to the contract. You can see the status of the contract and everything. So yeah, we released 7 exclusive NFTs for now. We actually signed more than 100 artists. So we are planning to have a lot of release in the coming weeks. We actually have a lot of traction. As you can see on the left, we have a daily growth of about 10%. We are approaching 300 users right now. Our like artists that we signed are quite nice. They have thousands of followers. The next goal is to sign even bigger artists. As you can see below, we are already talking with most of them. We want to scale the speed at which we release new NFTs. And of course, we want to increase the bids. We will open the secondary market next month. So next month, you will be able to resell the NFTs you actually bought on the platform, and probably for a profit. Our business model is very simple. We take a 25% cut on the primary market, and then we take a 10% cut on the secondary market. Other platforms similar to us are so rare. NBA Top Shot, if we can see that they're doing like extremely well. Like Top Shot is doing 300 million monthly turnover for a market that is about 10 billion. The music industry is actually way larger than both of these markets, so we can expect to do 50 million monthly turnover by 2024. The team, I think, is perfect for the subject. First, we have Lancelot, our CTO, who is like a top-tier computer scientist. Simon, as I told you before, has been working in the music industry for years. He is actually in charge of talking to musicians. He's probably the best person to talk to them and to understand their problems. He has a pretty large network in the music industry. And then we have Felix, who is our lead developer. If the platform is so beautiful, it's thanks to him. And Xavier, who is in charge of partnerships with musicians, labels, and records. We are currently raising funds, so we are looking for $3 million in order to grow our revenue to about 300K by the end of the year. We think that we can mainly reach this by acquiring the artists faster, by automating the artist onboarding, and by growing our community and the secondary market. Actually, what is very nice about our marketplace is, if you look at normal marketplace such as Uber, you know, when they acquire a driver, they don't acquire more customers. On Pianity, when we acquire an artist, we actually acquire all of its fan base. And actually, artists are doing the marketing for us. So it's our go-to-market strategy is really to acquire many artists and get all of their fan base from that. So if you're interested in the fundraising, you can email me at kevin@pianity.com or see me at the booth later. I also have a special announcement for you. We're gonna release an NFT next week with 100 editions of it, and we actually are gonna like airdrop them for free. If you register on Pianity.com, we will give it away to the 100 first people to register starting right now. So let's see each other at the booth. Thank you for your attention.
Astonishing. The speed with which we've gathered so many artists and keep converting people is just amazing, and the functionality of the platform itself is just incredible. So I really recommend everyone to seize the opportunity and register on Pianity, and also just go and talk to Kevin at the booth. I think that we can all learn a lot about how to grow your business and gain some real traction very quickly. Thanks, Kevin. All right, next up we have Yinka with Permabot. Yinka, you're going to talk to us about how to make sure that you can store information safely before it gets deleted. So why don't you take it away, Yinka?
All right. Hi, my name is Yinka, and I'm excited to talk to you about Permabot today. The major problem we're trying to address is the transient nature of the internet. Posts that you see today and are interested in may not be available tomorrow. For example, you might be interested in a post that's someone of public interest. For example, Elon Musk had made on March 26, but by March 27, the post was gone. Or sometimes it could be that the post you're interested in is available, but it's too long for you to read at the moment, and you have no way of saving it to read later on Twitter. And that's where Permabot comes in. You can think of Permabot as a mechanism for archiving and preserving content on social media. With Permabot, we bookmark content, not just links, bookmark posts or threads that you're interested in, and we store the content on the PermaWeb forever, where it's available for you or everyone else to see. So here's how it works. Permabot currently works in 3 simple steps. We're starting out with Twitter. You tag Permabot to a thread you're interested in. You click the link you're interested in, and in the Permabot sends you a reply, and you in the link in the reply, you click publish to the site. And here's a simple demo showing how it works. So we implemented login with Twitter, allowing you to log in with Twitter. So log in with Twitter on the site. And then you go to Twitter and you look for a thread that you're interested in. And you basically reply to the thread, tagging Permabot. Once you see a thread that you're interested in, you click reply. And then, of course, you tag Permabot. So you just do Permabot save thread. And then you send that. Now, once you do that, Permabot automatically starts the process of archiving. It then pulls the content, all the posts in the thread, and sends you a reply with a link that you click on, which takes you back to the website, so the Permabot website, where you can then click on a publish button to actually publish it to the PermaWeb. So you can see the link in the reply, which will be your notifications. Now here you can see previously published tweets, and you can see your pending tweets. So just click on the tip ArCoins to publish, and your old thread will be published to the PermaWeb forever. Now here's our current business model. Users currently pay a tip to the platform to publish their content. This tip is made up of 2 fees: the fee required to mine the content on Arweave, and a charge that Permabot takes to render the service. Now, Permabot currently charges 15% on the mining fee as its own charge. This fee is then broken down into 50% to the Permabot platform and 50% to our profit-sharing token holders. Now, here's what we've achieved so far. We released version 1 alpha in January, and version 1 basically allowed us to implement the core use case, which is users tagging Permabot save thread to archive their threads. And we were also able to implement Twitter logins, and we did a complete overhaul of our user interface after that. And also, we just completed an integration with AppNet, which is a non-custodial secure wallet for Arweave, which we believe will also aid our user adoption. And our current target is to reach 10,000 posts that have been published to the PermaWeb through Permabot. And here's our current roadmap. In January, we launched our alpha version, which supported using Permabot via simply tagging us, i.e. Permabot Safe Thread. In Q2, we are planning to introduce a deposit model, which will make it easy for Twitter threads to be published using the balance in your account. So you pre-deposit in your account, and anytime you do Permabot Safe Thread, will automatically publish your thread. We also plan to work on a referral system to encourage user adoption. And by Q3, we hope to support some other forms of archiving. And now, a little bit about me. My name is Tanimono. I've been into software development for about 10 years now. I recently got into the blockchain space. I submitted an entry at the New York Blockchain Hackathon last year, which was a remittance application that came third, which was built on the Stellar blockchain. Now, our alpha version is already live, and we would like feedbacks. So if you use Permabot to archive a thread before the end of next week and drop a feedback for us on Discord channel, you will earn 500 PBT tokens. And you can do that by simply following the steps highlighted below. Follow us on Twitter, archive a thread by replying Permabot Safe Thread to any thread, and make sure you go to the site to complete the archiving. And then, of course, post the message and the screenshot on some of our Discord channels. And of course, you can reach out to us via our Discord channel. This is a short link to the Discord channel. And we also have, check out our community on community.xyz. We will have some opportunities posted there anytime soon. And that's it. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions about it, you can shoot me an email. I've displayed my email here. And if you'd like to get involved, please reach me via email or via Discord. And okay, bye. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Inka. This is amazing. It just looks super, super smooth, the whole user experience. So again, I encourage everyone to just go ahead, seize the opportunity and start using Permabot basically right now, especially if you have any Twitter threads related to ArConf 1 that you want to store safely for a long, long time. Alrighty, next up we have Chris, who's going to be presenting to us Arcade City.
Let me share screen here. See this good?
We can see it.
Cool. Hey folks, my name is Christopher David. I'm the founder of Arcade City, the decentralized gig economy. And
Alrighty, seems like.
Can you hear us?
am I still spotlighted? Because Reilly came back and was in the middle of talking. I don't know if he's spotlighted or I am.
You're spotlighted, Chris, and Ruddlys is not. Let me. Yeah, I don't think Ruddlys.
I'm happy to just step back and let him finish.
Okay, cool. I'll unspotlight you, Chris.
Yeah, let's. Chris, why don't you continue?
Be right back.
We can take it away later.
Okay, so Chris is continuing?
Yeah, Chris, you want to continue?
Okay, Chris.
Okay,
Or
sure.
start over, actually.
I'll start over.
Apologies for that.
Reset my clock. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay. Hey, folks. I'm Chris. I'm the founder of Arcade City, the decentralized gig economy. The problem we're solving is this. Gig workers have no job security. Rideshare drivers and other gig economy workers have been exploited for years. They are controlled like employees, but denied the benefits of employees. They are told to be your own boss, but they cannot set their own rates, cannot choose their riders, cannot build their own customer bases independent of the platform. They are 100% dependent on their parent company with almost no other options. This played out in grand fashion in Austin 4 years ago when Uber and Lyft shut down service on 48 hours notice, putting 10,000 drivers out of a job overnight. Arcade City was the first of about 10 alternative rideshare projects who rushed to Austin to help fill the void. 4 years later, every one of those 10 is now gone, except Arcade City. This very nearly played out in California a few months ago. Wired ran an article showcasing what might happen if they did, highlighting and interviewing Arcade City Austin drivers who said, hey, this is our money. It belongs to us. It belongs to the community. Miguel drives a pedicab, drives for Arcade City. He has set up regular rides with repeat customers, something the ride-hail apps don't allow drivers to do. Arcade City is delivering on the promises of Uber by truly empowering drivers to be their own boss, and that's by going peer-to-peer with self-governing driver cooperatives. Drivers set their own rates. Drivers build their own recurring customer base. This is the answer to the problem. The question is, how do we scale this model? The model works. It's generated $10 million in peer-to-peer bookings. That breaks out to 8,000 rides a month, average transaction size of $20, 59 months in operation, steady volume throughout that entire time. And that's with only 150 drivers. Uber alone has 4 million drivers. Lots of room to grow. Why will the drivers come to us? Well, Arcade City drivers earn 2 to 3 times. We've had reports of up to 5 times the money with us compared to Uber. We have an annual driver turnover rate of just 8%. Compare that to somewhere between 50 and 90% for Uber and Lyft, with the current budget required of $0. This is called industry-leading metrics on driver earnings, driver retention, and cost efficiency. We've identified more than 500 leaders across 20 countries who are ready to start Arcade City networks in their area, and that's with barely even promoting that sign-up form. That number will grow into the thousands. So we've had all this success on a small scale in Austin, with a push into the Philippines, got about 20,000 users for one of our mobile app versions. We've been talking since 2016 about scaling this with blockchain, with Ethereum. But of course, quote, if you want to build a decentralized Uber and Lyft on top of an unscalable Ethereum, you are screwed, full stop. Thank you, Vitalik, Ethereum founder, for the intellectual honesty. However, that was 3 years ago, and the situation has not changed. Why should we care about blockchain? Well, it allows decentralized ride matching, micropayments, and streaming money, rider to driver during a ride with built-in revenue sharing, decentralized identity and reputation, data security, network governance, crypto equity, and permanent availability via the PermaWeb. I'm happy to report that 5 years later, the technology for all of this exists now. Newly possible in 2021, you can log into a decentralized app via email or social and sign crypto transactions thanks to the Magic SDK. Within seconds, you can have any number of blockchain wallets provisioned and stored securely attached to that one single account, thanks to IDX and Ceramic. Users can pay for rides with a credit card, with drivers receiving USDC thanks to Circle. Stablecoin and token payments settling in 2 seconds with sub-penny fees thanks to Solana. You can convert seamlessly between cryptocurrencies thanks to dexes like Uniswap, Serum, and Verdo. And what our drivers are most excited about, you can earn a share of revenue from in-app transactions thanks to Arweave profit-sharing communities. So the product, how we actually do this, is a mobile and PermaWeb app connecting our proven cooperative model and beautifully designed app. You can check out the early version of that in the app stores now, with the blockchain stack optimized for mass consumer adoption, with the beta launching in approximately June of this year. The revenue model is a percentage of all in-app credit card and crypto payments will be paid to holders of the Arcade profit-sharing token, even if those payments aren't made in AR. How we do that is by connecting Solana, our peer-to-peer commerce layer, to Arweave. I'll show a little demo here, but we've got a bunch of cool product demos, videos on our Twitter, the piece of paper, the Google Doc on our booth. You'll see links to the relevant product demos in our Twitter and all this kind of stuff. Here we're demonstrating how transactions can go from the rider to the driver, with 96% going to the driver, and then any arbitrary rev share split occurring also instantly. In this example, 1% to a referring user, 2% to the recipient's guild or driver cooperative, and 1% to holders of our Arweave profit-sharing token, Arcade. We have this working on mainnet. This is a video also linked in that thing where you forgive me if the font is too small, but you can see the balances of the rider. Every few seconds, that will tick down by 5 cents. The majority of that will go over to the driver, with a tiny percent to Alice, or to the referrer, to the guild, and the holders of the profit-sharing token, which in this case is just a kind of a stand-in Solana wallet address that will be then distributed to that. Yeah, more on that on our in the links. Let's see. Let's get past that. Okay, we are expanding. We've raised about $1 million seed to this point. We're going to raise $10 million or up to $10 million to launch Arcade City in 100 cities in 2021. If you are a new holder of Arcade tokens this month, we will invite you to add a city of your choice to the list. Email me, please, chris@arcade.city, and talk to me at the booth. We're also giving away free rides. You can get $50 in ride credit. Please follow us on Twitter at Arcade City Hall. This is today only, I should specify. And shoot us an email at this address with your name, Twitter handle, city, and a bit about you. More details on that also in our sheet, in our thing. And yeah, please reach out to me with any inquiries, and we'll see you in Arcade City.
It's also super interesting to see how much traction we've gotten and real usage. It's always very encouraging to see a solution, you know, and the blockchain space actually tackling a everyday problem in the physical space as well. So that's excellent. Thank you very much for the presentation. All right, next up we have Brennan with Ecclesia. Brennan, you want to take us through Ecclesia, please?
All right, sorry, just getting all set up here. You guys seeing everything well? Everything looks good? Hear me?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. All right, so I'm here on behalf of Ecclesia. So I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but Ecclesia is a social protocol that is designed to be highly censorship resistant and ownerless. We aim to provide people of all ideologies in all countries a method of self-expression that nobody can take away from them, and also do it in a manner that's conducive to forming ideological discussion. The first inkling for Ecclesia actually came in December of 2020, before the censorship of several high-profile figures on social media. One of my very close friends is a Chinese political refugee who fled to the US after his family was detained in China. So he came here by himself, and for the last couple of years, he has been working with a couple of groups to help promote free speech in China. He was telling me about it, and I was like vaguely aware of the censorship resistance of blockchain, and so I figured that there might be a way for us to apply this to help him achieve his goal. I started getting a little bit better understanding of blockchain, and I decided that one possibility could be if there may be a way to pay users to anonymously store and serve data with Ethereum. Now, while I was analyzing this possibility and looking kind of how it would work, it was during this time that several mainstream political figures in the US got taken off Twitter. And at first, I didn't think that my idea would have really any use in the Western world, because competition could easily spring up. But when we saw the competition to Twitter get taken down by other companies, I knew that there could really be an actual use case for this in the Western world. Not too long after this, I began looking at Filecoin storage to see which one would be a better fit for a platform like this. And while comparing the two, I actually found an article that mentioned Arweave. I began looking at Arweave and realized that it had the scalability and the permanence that would really be necessary to create a platform like this. Now, the issue of censorship on current Web 2 social networks is pretty widely known, and I don't think I need to explain the problem of big tech censorship. Furthermore, using blockchain to solve the problem of big tech censorship isn't an entirely unique idea. Projects such as Steemit, Mastodon, and Minds have been around for quite a while now. However, these projects have all, in one way or another, really missed the mark. Let's take, for example, the most recent up-and-comer Minds. Minds is essentially blockchain Twitter. However, their use of blockchain for the problems they set out to solve is a misattribution of the technology at best. Rewards are paid in crypto, but the platform is hosted on Amazon Web Services and relies both on the Apple App Store and on Google Play. They're not really a blockchain application, in my opinion. They're more of a Web 2 application that pays people in crypto. Specifically, they're centralized, which means that while they might not censor their users, they themselves can be censored. In the case of Section 230 in the US being repealed, they would be forced legally to be liable for what people post on their platform, and therefore would either have to shut down or begin censoring. obviously, this is a huge problem with any sort of centralized social network. And it's pretty clear to most people here how Web3 can solve these problems. But simply throwing up a decentralized Twitter is not a very good solution either. The drawbacks and user requirements of Web3 are enough to turn off the majority of the public. I sort of talked about this in my last speech, but I'll get into like the specifics of it with Ecclesia. As optimistic of a person as I am, I really don't see wallet management like becoming widely accepted. I just don't think, I talked about the early majority in my previous speech. I don't think the early manage their own wallets. Frankly, I don't even know if I would manage my own wallet when there's Web 2 alternatives where you can use just a regular username and password flow, or it doesn't have to be that, but really just a way where you can very conveniently access your dApp and you're not limited to certain devices. So the second main issue that arises with Web3 is the need for an exchange. I'm located in the US, and so for me to get AR, I had to make a Coinbase account, buy Bitcoin, get a VPN, make an MXC account, transfer the Bitcoin to MXC, and then transfer it to my wallet. I then learned about Bilixi. But regardless of which method of those you use, it's certainly not great, especially when you're trying to onboard users as quickly as possible. So here we've outlined two critical problems with Web 2 and two critical problems with Web 3. And Ecclesia is here to solve all of them. By building an entirely decentralized stack, we're able to create a fully unknown, censorship-resistant platform. Even if we wanted to censor our users, we couldn't. Calling back to Minds, the Web 2, Web 3 hybrid platform, they've had to adjust and reallocate some of their resources because Google Play threatened to take them down. Also, with Section 230 in the U.S. is gaining a lot of heat. There's significant liability for them that's forcing them to take preemptive measures. Ecclesia simply won't have this because there's no way for Ecclesia to comply. Nobody owns it, and it's just simply not possible. This is one of the benefits of decentralizing the whole stack. It really is a be-all, end-all counter to censorship. But that really only solves the problems of Web 2, and there's an equal amount of problems that need to be solved with Web 3. I mentioned in my previous speech the Ecclesia login module that we've released uses AES-256 encryption. It uses the username salt, or it uses the username to salt. This prevents rainbow hash attacks. And while this is not as secure as just having your own private key, and someone said in the chat that all forms of encryption have been broken, and that is very true. It's a trade-off of security for scalability, in our opinion, and I think it's something each dApp has to have its own. And so it's really just a matter of philosophy. That's how we're solving the first problem with Web 3. Secondly, we mentioned the bundling system, but we're also looking at integrating certain APIs that would support AR, so that just straight into our platform, we can build in that people have a one-time payment, they create their account, they don't even need to know what cryptocurrency is. That's really the main benefit of combining a fiat to crypto on-ramp and then also back-end wallet management, is that users can use crypto, they can experience the full effects of blockchain, but at no point do they need to understand blockchain or even know that they're using it. And I think that's actually a huge value add when appealing to the Web 2 audience. Now, zooming out a little more to the actual platform itself, Ecclesia solves another problem that's sort of endemic to social platforms. The network effect is the way by which social network users are disincentivized to leave the predominant platforms since their connections are already on that platform. You can see that here. If they were to move to a competitor, they would not have as rich an experience because their friends and family are not on there, and they rely on that content creation. This has formed a pseudo-monopoly, and it's why it's really hard for a lot of competitors to pop up. However, one place where we've seen this broken down is with LinkedIn, in which they cut the network by business connections. Ecclesia is trying to do the same thing, except we're cutting it by ideology. What this looks like in practice is that users can come on without any of their friends or family on there, because the main point of interaction is being able to interact with mainstream political figures. We actually sort of saw this happen with Parler, and while we're not hoping to build the next Parler, it was a great proof of concept in that people were leaving for this new platform that didn't have their social networks on there because that wasn't the value add. And that's really what Ecclesia is building for. So we were hoping to showcase a video of our MVP. However, it decided to pose some serious problems. You can see our landing page right there, and then our two libraries. One of them, Ecclesia 2, that is the front end, and the Ecclesia protocol is the back end. It's essentially how all the different posts, querying, commenting, creating accounts, following functions. You may be wondering what happened to our showcase on Twitter. So the showcase that we released on Twitter was written in Angular, and we began to run into some, not necessarily problems with Angular, but some issues that we realized would hamper user experience. And that's the absolute last thing we wanted. We decided that it would be better to take a major setback and begin rebuilding in React than to continue down the wrong path with Angular. Even though it set us back, it ultimately will lead to the best user experience. And so it was sort of a necessary decision that we had to make. This video is still up on our Twitter. You can go check it out. And it'll give you a general idea of what the React version is looking like. But when we went to go and pull up the React version for the demo, we started having some problems with it. And we realized that it really was not important because the Ecclesia team has actually been making some really good progress elsewhere. So despite the stubbornness of this React version, we have still a lot of progress to show. This has sort of been our timeline. So we started by designing and essentially figuring out how to create an accessible, fully decentralized stack. And this is really what I think our team has done super well, is we've gathered input from mainstream political figures. We have a somewhat unfair advantage when we're trying to come into this space of creating a platform for ideologies. A couple of our members have some pretty good connections with some fairly mainstream political figures, and so this has given us a lot of firsthand research to be able to reach out to them and to get some feedback. And the feedback we've gotten has been extremely encouraging, and is sort of what prompted me to quit my job, because we believe that in the way we're trying to build this platform, we have firsthand evidence from these people that this could be something huge. Now we're currently prototyping, building, and testing. We just moved from Angular to React. And then after that, we need to focus on building out scalability to allow easier user onboarding and to allow mass use. Lastly, I would like to briefly introduce our team, because I think we have a really wide range of experience and it gives us a lot of value as a team. Starting with myself, I have some experience in founding and growing businesses. This is my first time venturing into the tech world, but I still do have the workflow management skills and the knowledge to add value and move forward. I also have a background in engineering. Moving over to Tom. Tom is currently a full stack developer at IBM. He also has experience in cloud services, and he's worked business development for a couple different blockchain startups, including Arweave in late 2017 and early 2018. Down to Thomas. Thomas has a lot more general program experience. Developer and back-end engineering is mainly what his experience is in computer science. He's been learning JavaScript for both front-end and back-end, so he's been super helpful in us sort of balancing the load on that. Lastly, Luke. So Luke, he does public relations for us. He currently works as a regulatory specialist for a New York City-based consulting firm. However, before this, he was a staffer in the US Senate. This has helped a lot in us reaching out to our target political audience and realizing that we are on the right track here to build something great. Lastly, we believe that no team is perfect. And so if you want to get involved, then we'd certainly be interested in having you. We're looking for a very wide range of positions, but overall, I would say the one absolute necessary thing that you need to have to join our team would be to be competitive. There's a lot of other people trying to break into this space, and there's very high risk, very high reward. We believe we're in the perfect situation to do this, as well as anybody else. And if you're competitive, then I think you would probably be able to agree with that. And so we would want you on our team. If this sounds like you, then definitely come and reach out to us. We have our Discord link here, as well as our Twitter handle. We'll also have this at our table later. If you're not, looking to join our team, but you still want to get involved, maybe give some input, or maybe just watch the building happening, then definitely come along. I look forward to hearing from you guys, and thank you.
Super interesting approach to social networks, for sure. Next up, we have Chris from Darkblock. Chris, do you want to take us through Darkblock?
Absolutely. Thank you, Sebastian. Let me share my screen here. All right. I am Chris Seline. This is Darkblock. So people are paying real money for digital art for the first time. I think everybody's seen the headlines. Beeple sold an NFT for $69 million. A lot of money changing hands, a lot of hype. We think a lot of value, but definitely a lot of hype here. But digital art has been around for decades. So why now? And the answer is NFTs. And I think pretty much everybody here knows about NFTs. But an NFT is just a certificate of ownership, and anyone can copy the art. I repeat, anyone can copy the art. So what are people buying exactly? It's symbolic ownership, I think. So, I mean, there are a lot of early adopters of NFTs, but about 99.9% of people out there are really wondering what the heck is going on here. Even Beeple, with his first drop, distributed physical tokens along with the digital art. So is that really the answer, physical tokens, or is there another answer? What if that ownership was not just symbolic? So enter Darkblock, guaranteed exclusive ownership of digital artwork. We want that NFT to unlock the actual artwork and provide exclusive possession for the NFT owner. So let me walk you through a video here that demonstrates Darkblock.
My name is Chris Seline, and this is a demo of Darkblock. Darkblock is a platform for the encryption of art to be unlocked with NFTs. It is delivered via a decentralized protocol that runs across a network of devices that are also used to decrypt and display the art. It's important to note that this is a platform play that we want to integrate with existing marketplaces. For this demo, we created a site to show how this would work. In the future, we would like to see Darkblock appear as a simple checkbox to enable Darkblocks on partner NFT minting sites. We will start by logging into our prototype display device with our Arweave wallet. We do this using a typical login methodology you may have seen on streaming device services. When we log in, we can see our gallery of NFTs appear. Let's take a look at one of the images. Nice. Now let's create a new Darkblock enabled NFT. I'll load my wallet. We use the network of devices to create and securely store a key that is specific to this art. We will select a high-resolution image to store in a Darkblock, and a low-resolution image or preview will be available for anyone to see. When we create the NFT, we are encrypting the image in the browser and uploading directly to Arweave. Once created, the art shows up on the screen and is available to decrypt because our device has access to the decryption keys unlocked by our Arweave wallet. There we go. We can now decrypt and display the art. Nice. Now we have minted an NFT using the Verto NFT specification, and so we can use Verto's space to sell the NFT. So let's go ahead and offer it up for sale. Now we can see it disappear from our device, and we have lost access to the decryption key as well. We have purchased the NFT with a separate Arweave wallet, so let's log in with that wallet. This will give us access to a separate set of keys. Log in with our code again. Now we see the image we purchased with this wallet show up in our gallery, and the decryption keys have been transferred, so we should be able to decrypt and display the art. There we go.
So we think we bring value to all three sides of this marketplace. For creators, we give more control. They can offer a low-resolution version of their art that they push out to social media, a medium-resolution version of the art that they could use as a print and offer that to, say, 1,000 people, and a high-resolution one that they lock in a Darkblock, and only one person would have access to that. For collectors, we give them something truly unique, and we think that's what collectors want. For marketplaces, we give them that rarity, which is a differentiator to other marketplaces. We think this market will be huge. With near zero friction, we believe the digital art market will surpass the physical one and also eclipse the current collectibles market. So how do we make money? We will take a cut of Darkblock-enabled NFT sales. In the future, we will bake royalties into smart contracts. We will also open up a new market of art rental. This is something that happens in the physical world, but Darkblock can bring this concept to digital art. We are rapidly moving towards launch. We plan to create a network of prototype devices this quarter on which we will power a software-only version of Darkblock called Darkblock Lite. This will enable us to get to market before we ship the device. From there, we will ship prototype devices to ambassador artists, then to end users, while taking pre-orders for the production device. Who are we? I am a serial founder of tech startups. Ari Tomasin is an entrepreneur who will be spearheading operations and developing relationships with partners. Dari Olfsson is an entrepreneur with many years of experience in product design. And we have partnered with Black Math, a digital firm who brings us a ton of street cred in the crypto artist community. They are tackling strategy, branding, and marketing, the ambassador program, and also helping us meet the right people. They have already have some big artists excited about Darkblock. There are a lot more people involved, and we have come a long way, even though we are only 7 weeks old. So come chat with us at the Darkblock booth. If you want to invest, schedule a meeting with us at calendly.com/darkblock. If you or someone you know would like to be an ambassador or partner, get in touch with us. Thanks very much.
Amazing, amazing. What a slick user interface. It's really super interesting. And I see a lot of interest in the chat to talk more about the device. So, you know, if you're curious to learn more about it, just find Chris in the Darkblock booth. All right, next up we have Tim with Open School. Tim is going to present how to fix the incentives for education. So Tim, why don't you take it away?
Hey, thanks, Seb. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, that works. And we can see it too.
Okay. Hey, everybody. We're Open School. And our mission is to try to radically fix the problem of learning or not learning within education by mixing it with programmable digital currency, very professional term. So for those of you who might not remember your education, you wiped it out like Eternal Sunshine style. Let me just give you an update on where we're at. It's exactly the same. Nothing is changing. Which is actually kind of amazing, because if you went back to 1980 and you were like, hey, we're going to spend trillions more in real dollars and you're going to have all knowledge in your hand, and that will be true of almost every person, you would think like, oh my God, we're going to be amazing at education. But in fact, learning is just totally flat. The structure of class is exactly the same. And the worst part is it's just as boring as it's ever been. So, you know, I don't say this as somebody blaming education. I mean, I've actually been doing my fair share of contributing to the lack of progress. I've spent 10 years, like, really working hard on education in the classroom, outside of the classroom, you know, raising money for ed tech, doing non-tech traditional stuff. And it's just extremely hard to move the needle. And, you know, as a teacher, I care a lot about the students and I care a lot about imparting knowledge. And I think the humbling thing that you learn is that it doesn't matter how good of a teacher you are. I think this is really, really important to understand. It doesn't matter how good of a teacher you are. You can make it very smooth, very interactive. Here's what matters. If the kid wants to learn, they will learn. If the kid does not want to learn, they will not learn. It's a humbling thing, but you know, I've found it to be true by running into this wall over and over again, right? We need students to want to pull learning out of us like they pull some gossip out of their friends, or how they pull, you know, the next level of the video game. They have to want it. If they don't, we're going to expend a ton of energy for very, very little result. So if only there were something in the world that made people want to pull out of the world, right? If we could, you know, use as much energy as the country of New Zealand to pull out some, you know, piece of token of knowledge, right? If only this existed, right? And so this is the point, right? We want to build education around incentives by bringing that power that motivational power of cryptocurrency into the learning situation, right, into the classroom. So here's how it works. Students mine OpenCoin through proof of learning, right? So what does that mean? For the student's perspective, it means you go home, you open up an app, almost like you're opening up a game, right? You see if there's some questions to mine, you pick one, and you just start answering, right? You start playing the game. Play it as much as you want, as little as you want, right? And it's up to you how you use it. But when you study, restudy, play, and play again, you create mining power for yourself that then can result in actually earning the OpenCoin. Take that coin, hodl it, spend it in a marketplace, get NFTs, get top shots, buy trading cards, maybe in the future use it for tuition, right? Use it for a program in the summer, right? So after you graduate, right, maybe you cash out, right? Why should LeBron be the only one to make $1 million at age 18, right? So there's tons of directions that this could go for students. It's about creating that desire and a passion to get new knowledge that they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So the beauty of this is that all these questions are created on the other side because teachers, knowers, tutors, outside experts, they can mine OpenCoin through proof of knowing. So what this is teachers can create a question, not only create one, but like categorize it. Say, where does this fit? What things come after this? What do I need to know before cytoplasm? Okay, the nucleus, that's important. How important is it? All of these elements of a question, they can bet on with their budget of mine coin in a prediction market-esque way. And so the more that they are on the front end of a trend of a good question or a good categorization of a question, the more that they mine OpenCoin. So the community in an intelligent prediction market-esque sort of way will actually create this, not just questions for kids, but very cool thing, like a map, a dynamic map of knowledge. And this is very interesting because, we might do something like this in a static way in a textbook, but we don't have a moving version of a map of knowledge saying how important is each thing, what are the elements of it. And also, if there's a topic like a new coding language, there's no way of fitting that new coding language into the knowledge that already exists. No easy way, no crowdsourced way. So this map of knowledge is not just useful for the students, but I think is actually some socially useful and very, very interesting technical element. Why this is really important for teachers is that teachers have no ability right now to increase their salary based on their performance, right? Teachers are basically, they get a job and then they're paid for attendance. But we don't really want to incentivize teachers for attendance. That doesn't give them enough upward mobility for doing well at what they do, right? We want to motivate them and incentivize them to perform. And so this allows teachers to actually potentially meaningfully add to their salary when they're able to genuinely contribute in a provable way to student learning. This becomes really interesting when you have a community of teachers and students, a community of learning. Now that it's programmable, there's really interesting opportunities for outside institutions to get involved. So imagine that Google says, hey, I like incentivized education, but I want to incentivize kids to learn this new type of problem solving or algorithm structure or coding language, right? So they can actually create a challenge block, stake coin to it, and kids can then try to solve that challenge, right? Or, Bill and Melinda Gates will say well, I care about learning, but it's more for philanthropic reasons. I want kids in Africa to have more of a chance to earn coin than others because they're behind in their learning. Harvard, maybe, they start doing applications on here, right? So they're staking coin. This is interesting, not only to bring capital into the system, but the really cool thing about it is that it's the first thing that allows outside world to pull the curriculum out of school, instead of school making an arbitrary curriculum, not knowing really how it fits with the outside world, and just sort of pushing it down to students. So this would be a very, very cool thing, much more interesting for kids as well than career services, for example, which is basically worthless. So about how this fits into Arweave, I really want to talk about this because we've seen so much cool stuff today. Open, the core to our mission is open. So Arweave, first of all, obviously helps us solve the problem of censorship. And for those of you who aren't in education, like censorship is a really, really big issue in education. Everyone wants to control what information kids are going to have access to. So protecting openness of learning now through this permanent storage and in the future is really critical to our mission. So storing our no ledger on Arweave is huge. And also really important is the sort of smart weave contract and decentralized element. So developers should really be building the future of education. So much of learning now is digital. That developers, just like in the DApp layer of Ethereum, can make interesting stuff and people pay them in coin for that. You should be able to do this in education. If you want to create the new textbook, if you want to create like the new version of the lecture, if you want to just sort of create your study guides for some subject, you should be able to make that as what we call an ed app, a decentralized application. But also contributions to the core protocol, like in any blockchain, would be really important for us. The user acquisition model for us, it actually stems from the validation. So one big problem is going to be, if there's money here, there's going to be a potential for fraud. So actually teachers are going to need to be onboarding students and to make sure that it's a real student using the app. And they're also going to need to validate the student. So the student has to sign with a teacher to take the test. So we can kind of lean on the teacher for trusting the legitimacy of the answers. This fits into user acquisition because if a student needs a teacher to do this, then and the teacher is also incentivized for bringing students on and onboarding, co-mining with students for doing it, then if one student says, I really want to do OpenCoin, they go recruit their teacher. That teacher can easily bring 20 students. They can bring in their whole class through that. Similarly, if you get one teacher, you can get those 20 students directly. So we have a nice model of sort of cross-user acquisition because of this validation relationship. So I think that's just sort of a lucky happenstance, but very, very interesting for user growth. In terms of our milestones, so we're in a proof of concept phase, but like this is happening. This is not a fantasy. This is going to happen. Teachers are already signed up to run A/B tests of OpenCoin in their classroom. So half the class will have the chance to get extra credit for learning some new facts beyond what they've studied so far. The other class can learn OpenCoin. Half the class can use whatever study materials they usually use. Half the class can use our knowledge map and app, right? So we're gonna just see, like, does this radically improve student outcomes? And I think it will. I think it has to. We have to figure out how it works, but that's test number one, to make sure that that works. Our goal is to do public beta in early September when school opens up. So the team, our tech lead will be announcing later. They are tied up in another venture, but we're already working a bit together. I'm education lead. All of this beautiful, beautiful, awesome design is John Passafume, who's out here. And this last square, we need people from out here to be part of this. Like, we all have to build the future of education together. So, this is open source, right? We're going to depend on everybody to contribute. And, innovation comes from, every direction and from unexpected places. So, like, my point to you is if you can imagine yourself being interested in any single part of what I just named, or other people who are, like, I want to talk to you about it. We have to build this community from the ground up, because I think it's going to take every one of us to do something this interesting and this important, but I absolutely think it can be done. So thank you guys so much for the time, and I hope to talk to many of you here afterwards.
Thank you, Tim, for that super beautiful presentation. It was very inspiring, I must say. It has certainly inspired a lot of conversation in the chat. And I just want to remind everyone, we have 3 more presentations to go. If you want to talk to any of the presenters, please make sure not to leave the space afterwards, not to leave gather.town. Just go to the booths and you will be able to chat to everyone there. All right, now next up we have Ojasvin and Abishek presenting Feather. Take it away, guys.
Can you hear me?
See the slides.
Hello, indeed.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Ojasvin, and this is my co-founder, Abishek. And we have the privilege of introducing to you Feather, a new cloud computing paradigm. We're riding a wave of change in the cloud computing world right now. Software deployment has changed so much, from bare metal to virtual machines to containers, and now serverless cloud computing. According to Gartner, spending on cloud services like AWS, Azure, etc., will grow from $257 billion to $304.9 billion in 2021 alone. The market is growing, and things are trending towards a decoupling of software and infrastructure. But things are also consolidating with a few players. The main problem is that cloud computing has trust issues, meaning there is no way for a user to send code to a cloud computer and be 100% certain that their code will be run and they will get their desired results. Brands like AWS and Google Cloud rely on brand trust from consumers and truly insane amounts of consolidated resources to quote-unquote guarantee reliable results. This creates an artificial lock-in with a trust-based mode. Feather gets rid of this mode and expands the market, allowing everyone to participate and solve a diverse range of problems. We break this mode by decentralizing and democratizing the marketplace for compute, verifying code on these decentralized nodes to make them trustworthy, and making client-side interfaces extremely easy to use. Now, Abishek will explain how we have achieved this in the backend.
The fundamental idea here is security via duplication in a deterministic WASM runtime. Let's break that down. A deterministic runtime means that an honest executor will always get the same result for some input. If multiple executors get the same result, then that result is the correct result. If they don't, then the process is repeated until consensus is achieved. There are some subtleties here, which you can read about in our documentation or reach out to us. This idea has been used very successfully before in non-commercial systems like folding at home, and we're bringing it to the new internet. So this is where we are right now. You can send and receive results for standard like I/O programs and WebAssembly. So if you can compile something to WebAssembly using WASI that takes something in via standard in and does something to it and outputs it in standard out, you can run that. That's a little like hello world we've prepared. In the next coming few months, we want to develop even further. Our initial goal is to get a method to run non-trivial programs on our network and to have API integration to the HTML canvas so that you can use WebAssembly in the standard way that WebAssembly is used. So like if, for example, for like weaker clients, that would be really helpful. After that, we want to build a molecular dynamics suite. When I say build, we mean more like compiling pre-existing programs, open source programs that exists. And we have agreements from research teams around the world to use it. And finally, at the end of our runway, in 6 months' time, we want to have a fully operational TensorFlow training environment. This would be our first distinguishing mark, where the network would receive some acclaim. We want this to be able to run large language models, for example, Eleuther's open source clone of GPT. Eventually, Feather nodes will span the world, with nodes as large as data centers that are small as a single mobile phone. In the same way a single company couldn't make the internet, a single company will not be able to compete with this. We want Feather to blur the lines between server and client, and we want compute to happen where it's best for it to happen, whether that's in a data center on the other side of the world or on a desktop PC in the same subnet as you, separate from infrastructure or cloud vendors as a protocol unto itself. We're passionate about this future, and we'd like to invite you to be a part of its creation. Thank you very much for your time. Please reach out to us if you're interested in joining us. We're currently looking for Web3 developers. Come see us at our booth, send us an email, join our Discord, subscribe to our mailing list. And we're currently, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it. It's a super cool idea. Again, one of the other projects that has been getting a lot of attention in the chat. Look forward to getting a lot of attention in the booths as well. All right, next up we have Fabian to talk about KYVE. Fabian, do you want to take it away, please?
Yes, sure. Give me a second. There we go. All right. You can see it, right?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. I'm super happy to present to you KYVE. The problem for other blockchains in general is they don't have the huge benefit of storing unstructured data permanently. So basically, they can't do any reliable backups or snapshots, right? Because you can't have a decentralized chain and the decentralized storage by the centralized pipeline. This doesn't work. And there's no way to cache state transitions. We even know the problem in our own ecosystem. I think Tate in the first presentation really nice explained this by setting up their own caching server, which is centralized. So basically, yeah, there's no way to cache those state transitions in SmartWeave. So yeah, big issue there. And then indexing can be difficult if there are massive amounts of block, which basically means the graph, for example, does have the issue that other chains, like Solana, for example, move so fast that their indexing nodes takes weeks, if not even months, to catch up with all the data, which is happening just because it's produced so fast. So the real issue is this leads to scaling issues. The blockchain, the big ones, the big layer twos, are really scaling out of their own ecosystem. And we have come up with a solution for that, which is called KYVE. KYVE is a fully decentralized protocol. It can store any kind of streamed data onto Arweave. And we have partnered with all of those big layer ones like Polkadot, Solana, Avalanche, the Graph, and Cosmos, and are setting up this KYVE system of uploaders and validators, where the uploader just listens to new blocks being produced and storing them onto Arweave. And then the validators retrieving the data the uploader has uploaded have their own internal logic to check this in terms of blockchains. They really just go to the blockchain with the block hash and say, hey, can you please give me the data for it? And if it's correct with the uploaded data, then basically nothing happens. But if there is like some incorrect thing, the stake of the uploader will be slashed, or if the validator was incorrect, vice versa, right? So the uploaded data is secured and uploaded and proven by stake. And the data retrieval is all done through either the Arweave GraphQL endpoint or through the KYVE library. Really, anyone can participate in storage initiatives. So basically, we do have this KYVE storage pool per chain. So let's say you want to archive the Polkadot mainnet. So we'd go ahead in KYVE and would create a pool for that. And then anyone can fund this pool. You spin up an uploader or somebody else does and participates in validation. And then anyone who has the incentive to keep the pool going really just funds it with the KYVE tokens. And the cool thing is that there are multiple incentives on really funding a pool. So as said in the previous example with the Graph, for example, they are really incentivized to pay money that the Solana snapshots basically are stored continuously. So it's much easier for the indexes to upload the data. And this is all done through the last mile approach. And how this works is basically in the first row, you can see how it's done right now. Basically, every block is loaded in separately, which just takes a huge amount of time. I mean, in SmartWeave, we see this. I think some of the Verdo contracts are at 1 minute 20 execution time right now. So you can load in the latest KYVE snapshot, which basically is a snapshot taken from block height, from specific block heights, and it's much faster to load this. And then you just need basically to load in the latest 3-4 transactions, make it much faster and reliable because it's all proven by stake. So the latest state computation is much faster. And we have successfully signed partnerships with all those major layer 1 blockchains presented before. We went into a soft testnet release last week, Friday. I have everything set up on the technical side right now, building out a small UI for managing this, and now heading into a strategic round and planning on mainnet release end of Q3, start of Q4 in 2021. And we are currently doing all of those RS partner integrations and especially getting some big layer 2s on there as well. We do have a very experienced team. John Leddy, the co-founder of Verdo, joined us, and also Facila, who's an ex-product manager at Visa, helping us with all of the operations. If you're interested in knowing more, please get in touch with us. Just team@kyve.network, chat.kyve.network for our Discord, and we're happy to answer all the questions you guys have. And thank you so much.
Awesome. Very, very impressive stuff. Thank you very much for that presentation, Fabian. And last but by no means least, we have Punk with Ruddlys.
Hello, everyone. My name is Paranoid Punk, or Punk for short. Now, before I begin, I'd like to first thank the entire Arweave team and the Arweave community for this incredible opportunity. So I've been involved in the blockchain space since around 2017. Now, growing up back home, I used to create stone sculptures from opal and soapstone. You see, my cousin and I, we used to carry these huge stones over long distances back to our family home. And we used to turn them into the type of art that you see on your screen today and sell them to tourists. I feel like this has given me an understanding of the work that goes into the creative process and the need for proof of ownership. So today, it is with great pleasure that I present to you a project that I've been working on, Ruddlys. The goal of Ruddlys is to strengthen trust in digital content ownership. So let's talk about the problem that Ruddlys is trying to solve. So the NFT world currently has a problem of authenticity. So we have to ask ourselves, like, when you buy an NFT, what are you actually buying? You see, like, in most cases, you're not buying the actual digital content, but you're buying an identifier. I think we all know the tokens, right? That's essentially what you're buying. And what a token is essentially, it just states that you own a piece of digital content. And in some cases, it's hosted on like Google or Amazon and stuff like that. So, and another problem also that we have is that of digital theft. Now, this has always existed before NFTs, but now it's also in NFTs, funny enough. So in theory, what that means is anybody can make an NFT and then they claim that they own the content. We saw this happening with William Shatner. He has some of his tweets sold off and a bunch of other people. So it's funny because NFTs are supposed to prove authenticity, but instead they're actually not that anymore. They're not acting as a representation of trust. They're actually becoming the opposite of everything that they're supposed to be fixing. So how do we address this problem? What's the solution? Ruddlys believes that a rigorous NFT system is one that is underpinned by a trustless system such as the Arweave. If we put that together with a system that proves true authenticity, a good way of doing this is rigorous vetting of creators and collectors. We've come up with a few good ways of doing it, but I think this is the way that we want to address this problem. So firstly, we would rigorously vet the creators to make sure that they understand the concept of authenticity. At the same time, we need to ensure that the collectors also understand and respect authenticity. So now, before the sale takes place, I think it's important that the only people who will have seen the original copy of the digital artwork is the creator and the Ruddlys appraisal team. I think this is very important, and you'll know why in a minute. Now, the public copy of the artwork, we believe, should always be watermarked, and only the successful buyer then gets to view and access the high-resolution copy upon sale. So you can imagine when you order clothes online, you know, you look at the sizes, you don't know if it's gonna fit, you don't know what the color is, but when it comes in your post box, you open it up. That experience of unwrapping it, we want to replicate that with digital art and NFTs. So as a collector, you'll be able to access this artwork through the Ruddlys Vault. And it'll be the high resolution unwatermarked version. And the initial point of sale is the most important point in an NFT's life. So this effectively date stamps the original version, right? So we feel like that initial sale should be privacy centric. And then after that, it can then become public. But the genesis of his life, we need to capture that in a privacy centric environment. So at Ruddlys, this entire concept is what we like to coin the classified NFTs. Now, ultimately, the goal is to have the whole system live on the Arweave PermaWeb to ensure perpetuity. We want to make the Ruddlys digital ownership verification and industry standard so that if you want to buy an NFT and know that it's really authentic, right, there should only be one place you can go to, and it should be Ruddlys, in our opinion. Now, let's talk traction. So as you can see from the screenshot here, that in the Ruddlys Discord, we managed to attract about 100 users in about 10 days. And this was around March. I think this gives us a real proof that there is real hunger for this kind of thing out here now. So let's get in. So what comes next after the CNFTs? Well, I'm excited to announce that we're working on something else as well, and this is the Ruddlys Metaverse. So we believe that, like, not only just digital art, but NFTs can be all manner of digital content, not just art, but think of 3D models, think of videos, music, anything that is digitally created can become a CNFT. So for example, in the Ruddlys Metaverse, which is what we're working on now, you'll be able to take these CNFTs and display them in, for instance, the art gallery. In the Ruddlys Metaverse, you'll be able to buy sort of the cars that you can see there, an apartment building, clothes, anything that is digitally created can be used in the Ruddlys Metaverse. Okay, so let's talk the roadmap. We anticipate to launch the Ruddlys Marketplace and the Digital Vault by December 2021. And by September 2021, and by December 2021, our goal is to have a user base of at least 1,000 active users across our systems. And then we aim to launch the Ruddlys Metaverse in early 2022. Okay, so right now the team is just comprised of myself and my co-founder, Lilikas. Okay, thank you all very much for your patience and your attention. Currently, we're giving away a blockout avatar and concept car. The blockout avatar was created by Mark Hawk, and the concept car was created by Basket2. Come to our booth, please, if you have time, sign up. And when we launch the Ruddlys Metaverse, you can get this car, and you can ride around the Ruddlys Metaverse and have fun. Thank you all very much for your time, and I'll see you at the booth.
Wow. Looking forward to that. Okay, so yeah, that was Ruddlys are still there. We go. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was incredible. Like, I can't believe that we just saw 17 founders present what they've been working on in the PermaWeb ecosystem. It's really just astonishing to see how fast this community is going. So I just wanted to say thank you from all of the core team. Like, it's hard to describe how amazing it is to see how this thing is growing and how you guys are committing your time to it, and you're working together to build cool stuff, like really cool stuff. So thank you for that. All that's left is, yeah, let's go to the discussion area and go chat around the booths, meet old friends, new friends, and have fun. Depending on, the time of day where you are, we have people where it makes sense for this to be tea, coffee, or beer. Everything is accepted. See you there, everyone. Thanks so much. This has been an incredible conference. Really, really amazing to see all the stuff people are working on. See you there, guys.